Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. Today's video is going to be another girl chat video. You guys loved my last one and I had so many questions that I wanted to do a part 2, so I hope you guys enjoy. I got a ton of like mommy related and baby related questions, so it's gonna be kind of like half girl chat, half like mommy chat, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and let's go ahead and get into the questions. The first one is mental health. Have you ever experienced depression or anxiety or come out of it? And I wanted to talk about mental health real quick because I don't think I've really gone in depth about it on my channel, but my mental health recently has been just kind of like up and down. I'll be going along fine and then just something will happen and my whole world will feel like it's just crashing down, and so it's just like a roller coaster of emotions, which is not healthy for me at all. Recently, I have just decided that I need to take my mental health a lot more seriously, and something that's been helping me a lot is just trying to take 1 hour a day for myself, and I was realizing that I wasn't taking like any time at all for myself, for self-care, for exercise. Every single second of my day was either taking care of Alaina, the house, cooking, working, nothing for me. So I have started doing my yoga a lot more consistently. I know that I talked to you guys about like me doing yoga several times in the past, but I've never been like truly consistent with it, and I have now decided that that has to be a priority for me. So I would just encourage any of you guys who are struggling with mental health, physical activity. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, it doesn't have to be a super hardcore like cardio or weight training or anything like that. You could even just do like a walk, like getting out in fresh air. Yoga for me, I mean, just anything low impact just helps me feel more at peace and just gets my mind off things for like that hour, and I can just focus on myself. The other thing I want to mention is that I've mentioned, this is not sponsored by the way, I know that they have sponsored one of my videos before, but BetterHelp is a website where you can get counseling online, and I have been taking advantage of that more recently, and that has been so helpful. So I wanted to mention those two things. I feel like I have struggled with anxiety, mostly anxiety, throughout my entire life. Now that I'm, I guess, a mom, it's just kind of been like getting out of control, and I'm really having to take control of the situation. So I would encourage any of you guys who are feeling the same way to make it a priority. Especially now that I'm a mom, I just realized that I cannot take care of Alaina properly if I don't take care of myself. And that was my phone, but anyways. Tips for balancing being a mom and keeping a connection in your marriage. I'm struggling, and I feel you on this, girl, because after you have a baby, you have to work like pretty much 10 times harder to like keep that connection. Sometimes your spouse isn't like top of mind whenever you have a baby, and I don't know, I feel like sometimes we can kind of lose track of each other if we're not like intentionally sitting down at the end of the day, checking in on each other. I think I mentioned in the last girl chat that we have implemented date nights. We actually haven't been great about it the past few weeks just because of Omar's surgery. As soon as he's feeling better, that is definitely our top priority, is getting back on date nights, because that really helps us stay connected. It has like been a game changer ever since we had Alaina to like make sure we have designated date nights. Kind of like what I was saying earlier about checking in with each other. I feel like sometimes we can get so busy that we don't realize that maybe the other person is struggling. So just like at the end of the day when Alaina's sleeping, checking in, making sure like, are we good? Is there anything bothering you? Is there anything going on? And just making sure that we're like on the same page. I feel like it's good to know that we have that support system there, even though like things get so crazy during the day. Something else Omar and I do that I feel like helps us with our like connection is talking about our like aspirations and goals that we have, either together or separately, and just kind of like dreaming about those things together and talking about how we can make those a reality. And it's just fun, and it motivates you to work towards those things together. We talk about business ideas, the kids that we want to have, things we want to do together as a family when we have more kids, and the house that we want to build, inshallah. So just like dreaming and talking about those things has been really nice to just kind of like connect us and keep us motivated to work hard together. Next one is share your favorite perfumes, looking for a new one and struggling. So I went ahead and grabbed the ones that I would say are like my top favorites in my collection. This is, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this perfume before. It is probably one of the most popular perfumes, but it really doesn't matter to me because it just smells that good. This is the Lancome La Vie Belle. I like fruity floral scents. I I don't like things that are like too sweet or like candy or powdery or anything. This is just so sophisticated. Oh my gosh, it just reminds me of luxury and sophistication, and it just smells so good to me and I love it. The next one that I would say is very similar but maybe a little bit more fresh is the YSL Mon Paris. This just has like that fruity floral scent that I love, but it's a little bit fresher. I like wearing this in like the spring, summertime. Some that I actually like more for winter. Okay, so this is the one I'm wearing today. This is Amber Musk by Erin, and I think Lydia got me hooked on this if you guys watch her YouTube channel, but it's probably the sweetest one out of my collection, but it also has that musk in it too, so it's balances it. But it's so nice for, I feel like, fall, winter time. The last one is, this one's probably the most recent in my collection. This is Valentino. I think it's called Born in Roma. Honestly, this one is also a little bit sweeter as well, but still has that muskiness. I would still say it's definitely like a fruity floral, but just has a little bit more like depth and sweetness to it. I'm very bad at describing scents, but it just smells really good. It's also pretty strong, so you don't need like that much. You just need like probably like 1 or 2 sprays. I did want to also mention this perfume just because I don't wear it that often because it is pretty strong, but I love rose and oud scents. It just reminds me so much of my dad and like, I don't know, just like being in the Gulf in Dubai, and my dad grew up in Kuwait, so he loves these kind of like oudy scents as well, and he wears them a lot, and this one is just so nice. It's by Dior. It's called Le Col Noir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It smells so good. It's also like I said, very strong. So if I have a special occasion, I'll just spritz like one tiny spray and it will last me like all night. That's why I've barely made any dent in this, and I've had it probably for like 2-3 years. Those are my favorites. Next is it true you feel a sense of peace and no nerves when marrying the one? And I thought about this a little bit, and to be honest, like, I don't think it's normal to feel like no nerves and no anxiety when having such a huge life change such as marriage. Even if you're marrying the right person and you know that he's the one and you feel so comfortable with them, you can still feel uneasy and have second thoughts just because like it's such a huge life change, and any change is gonna cause some anxiety. So I feel like even I had anxiety whenever I was about to get married to Omar, and I know that he's my person. I don't think that just because you're nervous means that he's not the one. Nerves can be from, you know, good change, good things happening, or bad things, so I wouldn't be like worried about that. Next one is how to keep romance/sex alive after a baby. I was really wondering if I should answer this question. I thought it would be relatable and helpful. I personally feel like, you know, before a baby, you're able to do things a lot more spontaneously, but if you want to like keep things alive and you want to like keep that healthy relationship, then sometimes you gotta schedule things or plan things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's kind of just like a season in your relationship, and you know, one day when the kids are older and you have more time, then things can go back to being the way they used to, or you might have like, you know, more time to be spontaneous. But I feel like it's really important to make that a priority in your relationship, and just making sure that you guys are discussing it and even planning things out. I think that's completely okay, and sometimes that's what you gotta do. What are the 3 most important tips you would give your daughter when she gets married? I thought this was a very good question. Number 1, my mom drilled into my brain growing up that I needed to make sure that I could support myself, even if, you know, even if I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, or, you know, whatever I wanted to do, I always had to have a backup plan where I could support myself if, God forbid, something happened to my husband or something like went wrong in our relationship and we weren't together anymore. I just had to make sure that I was taken care of, where I could take care of myself. So I would totally try to instill that in Alaina as well. My grandma actually was put into that situation where she had 3 kids, and her husband, my grandfather, died very young when he was, I think, in his early 40s, and she was left with, I don't think she had gone to college at that point because she had to go back to school in order to get a job, and she had 3 little kids, and it was so hard on her. So I think my mom, just having that experience with her mom growing up and just seeing her like that, she just made sure. Secondly, instead of like nagging your husband with certain things that you want changed, just to like make sure you're like sitting down and communicating and like talking about the reasons why you want certain things to change. I feel like no man likes a naggy wife, and I feel like, you know, obviously women nag for a reason, but maybe we don't always sit down and like communicate and, you know, talk through those issues rather than just like whining and complaining. And I don't know, I feel like that's something I would try to teach her. Thirdly, I don't know how I'm gonna word this, but I feel like it's important for, I guess just for myself, I try to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and like my appearance for my husband, just because I feel like, I don't know, some people may think like when they have a husband and like that you get comfortable in a relationship, maybe some people like let themselves go, or they think it's not as important to like try to impress your husband anymore because, you know, you're married and you don't really have to do that anymore. But I just feel like it's important to put effort into your appearance, not every day, and obviously like your husband is gonna see all the good, bad, and the ugly, and they should love you no matter what you look like. But I feel like every once in a while it's nice to just kind of put that extra effort, because I appreciate it when Omar like gets dressed up and wears cologne, and I find that like attractive, so I always want to just make sure that I'm doing that for him too, and I just feel like that's important in a marriage. The next one says how to deal with period pains. Before I had Alaina, I had really bad period pains, and they've actually gotten better now, but I used to just take literally as much ibuprofen as I could, and I know that's probably not the best thing and you should probably try other methods, but that's what worked for me. But I also wanted to mention some other like more natural remedies that are very helpful. One of them is a heating pad. I actually make my own with a sock, and I stuff it with rice. I like tie it off and then I stick it in the microwave for a minute, and I don't know, I just love that heating pad more than like the ones that you plug into the wall. I can walk around the house, I can drive with it, like I can take it with me. It's really nice. And then I also wanted to mention red raspberry leaf tea. I learned about that when I was pregnant, and apparently it helps like tone the uterus and it can help with period cramps, so I wanted to mention that. I also, while I was a labor and delivery nurse, learned how much water and just hydration can help in general with your uterus, like cramping. We would have pregnant women come in thinking that they were in labor or like just cramping a lot, and they were literally just dehydrated, and we would either just give them water to drink. Sometimes we would have to do IV fluids to like stop the cramping, but literally, you guys, if you just chug water and you just like stay on top of your hydration, that will help you so much. How do you feel confident while wearing modest swimwear? I struggle because everyone looks, and I can totally relate to this because, oh my gosh, that was like one of my biggest struggles in the beginning, was like going to the beach and like wearing full coverage, and I was so self-conscious. I think it's just helped because I have found some brands that carry like cute modest swimwear and it does not look weird, and I will link them down below. I think that has just helped so much because I actually feel confident in what I'm wearing. And then also I just realized that if I'm at the beach and I'm having fun and I'm enjoying myself, then why do I care so much about what people think about me? If I know that I feel like I look good in what I'm wearing and I'm having fun, then just like disregard the stares, because it's probably inevitable since, you know, most people aren't full coverage at the beach, but you do you. This one is tips on night weaning. I don't know if this is really the best video for this to be in. I was actually thinking about doing a whole video on like my breastfeeding journey and weaning and stuff. I actually have completely weaned Alaina, which is actually like so sad for me. It's been, I think, 3 days since I weaned her, and she's actually doing great, which I'm so thankful for that. But there was a period of time where Alaina was literally feeding all throughout the night, probably like 5 or 6 times, and she would cry, I'd have to feed her again, then she would fall asleep, and then she'd wake up realizing that she wasn't eating, and then I would have to feed her again. And oh my gosh, I was going crazy. I could not sleep. It was just not good for my mental health. So what we did is Omar co-slept with her for about like 5 days or so, and then when I came back, she actually still wanted milk in the middle of the night, so I had to like sit there and like rock her in the rocking chair with the pacifier and just try to comfort her. After like a couple of nights of that, she finally started like, you know, going back to sleep, and she didn't ask for milk. And I just chose to do it this way, with having Omar co-sleep with her and me rocking her, just so that she felt like she could still seek comfort in me, even though she wasn't like having milk or nursing anymore, and I'm just not the type of mom that can just leave my baby to cry in the crib and like not like tend to her. At the same time, like if that is the only way that would work for you, then I do not judge that at all. And like I feel like every mom is literally just doing the best they can for themselves and their baby. What worked for me may not work for someone else, but that is what we did. What helps you go to sleep? And I thought I would answer this because I've never actually talked to basically anyone about this before. I think Omar is literally the only person. Oh, and I think my sisters know. I love listening to ASMR videos before I go to sleep. It helps me sleep it just like helps me fall asleep so much faster, and it just really relaxes me and gets my mind away from like racing thoughts and just helps me focus on sleep. I will link below some channels that I like to watch. There are definitely some like weird ASMR channels out there that I've like come across and I'm like, okay, this is not for me. I just like the ones that are calming, whisper, like girls doing like Target hauls and just like whispering, or like makeup tutorials and like whispering. It's just really relaxing to me. So if you guys haven't tried ASMR, maybe you guys should try that because I really love it. Was actually thinking maybe I should explain what ASMR is. I don't know what it stands for, but basically it's where different sounds or like whispering sounds makes you feel like tingly and like just helps you like really relax. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but yeah, that's the best way I know how. What do you and Omar argue about the most? Probably two different things. First one is, I feel like I've mentioned this so many times, just me getting upset or jealous or like feeling left out if he wants to go hang out with his friends, but we've gotten a lot better about that now. I've just realized that that is like something that he needs. We used to argue so much about that. And then more recently, I feel like it's been where I get a little, and it's always just me getting mad at Omar. Is anyone else like that? Like, it's not really like we're arguing, it's me getting upset with Omar and then we argue. Anyway, the other thing would be that I feel like I get a little bit like resentful of the fact that I feel like I have so many things, like take care of Alaina, work and cook and laundry. The list goes on, but I feel, I don't know, resentful sometimes that maybe Omar doesn't help me with some of those things or doesn't do certain chores that I do around the house. But I'm really trying, because I mentioned this I think in my last video, like I'm really trying to just make sure that I don't do that. Like it's not about keeping tabs on who does what or who does however much around the house. Each person brings something different to the table. Omar definitely does stuff that I would never be able to do or handle within our relationship, just taking care of like bills or finances and like all that kind of stuff. I think those are kind of the things we argue about the most. Do you have any tips for new hijabis? So I guess the first thing I would say is that the feelings of like insecurity and just feeling like, I don't know, everyone's staring at you, those things definitely pass, and I feel so much more confident now. I feel like I'm not even wearing it at this point. Like it just feels like part of me. So I would just say that like if you feel like this is what is right for you and you really believe in it, just stick through it. And the beginning with just feeling insecure is definitely the worst, but it does get better. Another thing I wanted to mention is that definitely make sure you're sticking to your own personal style, even though you're dressing more modestly and covering your hair. I feel like that is what helps you feel more confident, is just feeling more like yourself. And I feel like whenever I first started wearing hijab, I thought that I had to like change my entire style, but that is not the case. Staying true to your personal style is so important and will ultimately just help you become more confident. Here's another breastfeeding question. Again, let me know if you guys need like a full dedicated breastfeeding video, because I would love to film that for you guys. But this one is, how long did you breastfeed Alaina, and when did she start to sleep fully through the night? I breastfed her for 15 months and she actually just this week literally started sleeping throughout the night. And I don't know if that is a direct correlation with weaning or if she was ready to start sleeping through the night. And it's honestly only been like about, I don't know, even less than a week that she's been sleeping the whole night. So this may not last, but I would just love to know if any of you moms had that experience where you weaned your baby and then they started sleeping through the night. Like, is that a thing? Let me know. Baby hair care products and general tips, please. No idea how to tame my little girl's curls. I take a little spray bottle with water and I wet her hair in the morning, and then I use Function of Beauty leave-in conditioner just because I like that it's clean and it smells like lavender, and it's just really nice because it's not too, like, it doesn't make her hair crunchy or anything. It's like really soft hold. I used to be the type of person that would look at toddlers and like other people's kids and be like, oh, my toddler's hair is never gonna look like that. We're always gonna have have her hair like perfectly brushed and all the stuff, and then I had a toddler and realized why her hair is always crazy. Like I'll fix it in the morning and then I swear an hour later it's like messed up again. I feel like I would have to literally brush her hair 20 times a day for it to like stay in place. So if any of you guys have tips, I would love to know. Another thing that I'm actually gonna try is that I thought about earlier, I'm gonna start adding like maybe a couple drops of argan oil or like coconut oil or just something light to like mix in with the leave-in conditioner. I feel like that would hold it a little bit better. I'm trying not to use too harsh of like chemicals or like harsh like hairsprays or anything on her hair since it's so fine, and I just want to make sure that I'm like taking care of it while still like keeping it in place. Tips for preparing for childbirth, how to be mentally ready for it. I think this is such a good question. I mean, you guys know I've talked about it a million times since I was a labor and delivery nurse and I saw childbirth so many times. I feel like I was just mentally prepared for it because I saw it so many times, but like the average woman doesn't get to see that, and I feel like a lot of people just go in with like no knowledge of what's gonna happen or like what could possibly happen, and they're just scared to death. So I think educating yourself is so key. I would also say if you're planning for a natural like vaginal delivery, to also look into what all goes into a C-section, because that is also a risk with any delivery. And I used to see moms who we were planning for a vaginal delivery but it just didn't work out. They were terrified, they were so upset, and felt like it ruined everything for them that they had to have a C-section. I would just look into that, be open to it if that's something that's necessary. Look into the recovery, all the aspects that go into recovery for a C-section, just so that you're mentally prepared. Another thing I would say is we also had women who would come in and tour the facility just so they could kind of see like where they were going to be pushing, where they were going to be recovering, like where the baby was going to go, just kind of get a sense of like what it's going to be like when you come in to deliver your baby. I think that would be really helpful, and I'm sure a lot of hospitals do tours for pregnant mamas, so I would look into that too. I also wanted to mention that it's very important to not only mentally prepare yourself for birth, but also mentally prepare yourself for postpartum. It's something that's just looked over and not really talked about, but it is such a very sensitive time, and I would just really look into take care of yourself physically for like all of like the healing, but also just like making sure that you are prepared for that emotional shift that happens after delivery, and just making sure that you know how to best take care of yourself and make sure that the people around you know that that is something that they're gonna have to be there to support you for as well. The best way to curb cravings or have self-control when eating, I'm really bad about wanting to snack after dinner. Like I feel like as soon as I put Alaina to sleep, I'm like, okay, where are the snacks? Usually I'll just try to make healthier choices. Like I'm still gonna snack. I'll choose like fruit, or I'll make a hot tea with honey, or I'll do like my coconut date rolls. Sometimes I'll even make like a smoothie. I used to like, well, now I can't drink caffeine or have like any chocolate, but before I used to make like these healthy chocolate smoothies with like peanut butter, and they were so good, and that like satisfied my cravings completely. So I think just finding healthier alternatives is just the best thing. I am not about starving yourself, limiting yourself. I think like food should just be used as nutrition for your body and nourishment, and as long as you're making good choices, I feel like that's what matters. How do you balance hubby, Alaina, and work graciously? This was so sweet. Like the fact that you even said that makes me want to cry, because I feel like I don't do it graciously sometimes. It's a lot. Owning a business and trying to be a mom and like just taking care of everything, it's a lot, but I have so much help. Never compare yourself to someone else, because you never know like their situation, and people who don't have help, I literally don't understand like how they can do it all, you know? You literally can't. I've also learned how to like prioritize my time. Whenever I do have the help, I'm like focusing on work, I'm focusing on things that I can't do with Alaina, and then whenever I'm with Alaina, I'm all in on family time. I think I kind of touched on that on the last one, but I wanted to mention it again because I feel like some women can just like look at other women and think like how do they do it all, and no one can do it all, like not without help. But thank you for thinking that I do it graciously, because I don't think that I do sometimes. Do you let your baby watch TV or the phone? And I thought this was a good one, because I was the type of person before I had a baby that looked at other people's kids with their iPads and stuff and said I would never be that type of mom. I would never let my kid have screen time, and then here we are. Okay, I definitely do limit it. She's not allowed to have any screen time at home. Usually I'll only let her watch YouTube on the TV whenever I have to get something done for work, and I literally can't keep her entertained and she's fussy or something. Or if like we're in the car, I'll let her have my phone. If she's just like distraught and wants out of her car seat and we have like a long car ride, I'll let her watch it then. I'll let her watch it if we're like at a restaurant and like we've exhausted all ways that we can to try to keep her entertained and we just need to eat and get out, and basically I let her watch whenever it's like a dire emergency. But I feel like as she gets older, I'm gonna try to just make sure that I can reason with her so that we're not having to depend on it whenever we're at a restaurant. That way we can try to like have conversations with her, because I just see some kids, they can't even take their eyes off the screen and have a conversation because they're so addicted, and I just really want to avoid that with Alaina. The answer is yes, I do let her have screen time, but I limit it to whenever it's absolutely necessary for me. How was your laser hair removal experience? I actually got a lot of questions about just like hair removal in general. I've done pretty much every single hair removal method you can think of. I've done waxing, I've done laser, I've done shaving, I've done like threading, I've done so many different things, but laser has been literally the best decision. I did it on my legs, my underarms, and now I'm doing my Brazilian area. Everywhere that I've done laser other than my Brazilian has been fine and manageable, but I did want to mention that, oh my god, it is literally so painful to do laser in your Brazilian. Maybe the laser is like too strong for me or something, but I would literally compare that pain to childbirth pain. It has been so bad. I mean, it's definitely working, but I don't think it's supposed to hurt that bad. So maybe I need to talk to them about that. But let me know if any of you guys have experienced the same thing with laser down there. I still think it's worth it just because I'm not gonna have to worry about like shaving that area. That has been my experience. Would you encourage Alaina / future children to wear the hijab or leave it to them for them to discover? And I think I've mentioned this before, but I would definitely just try to like obviously instill those values in her of like teaching her why modesty is important, but I would never ever like force her to wear a hijab if that's not her decision, because wearing this was completely my decision, and making that decision for myself was so much more valuable to me. If someone was to tell me to wear it, I don't know if I actually would have worn it. If I feel like I would have just felt like I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. Definitely gonna be her decision. The last one is recently married and the change is hard. Being away from parents is hard. Advice? I wanted to answer this one just because I thought it was really relatable. Like, you always think of like, the wedding and like that time is just like so exciting, but then you get married and move in and you're just hit with reality, and sometimes it can just be a lot and it's a huge life change, and your feelings are completely valid, and it doesn't mean that you're not like happy to be married, but it's just hard and it's just change. And also some women can feel leaving their family that they grew up with, like if you moved straight from your family's house, that can be really hard because you feel like you are losing that part of your life. But I want you to think of, you're just gaining your life partner, and it's not like you're losing anything. It may be harder to like keep up that relationship with your family, whereas before it was like easier, they were always around, but now you have to like put in the extra effort to like call them every day or FaceTime. Just try to think more positively about the situation and just think about it as like you and your husband are now able to like create this life together, and you're able to start your own new traditions, and it's like a fresh start for you two. You have a lot more independence. Your feelings are completely valid. Like, it's hard. I hope that you guys enjoyed this girl chat / mommy chat video. If you guys want me to do more of these, please let me know down below, and like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you guys are new. I would love to have you guys part of our family here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.